And we are live. Hello. We have Louie with us today. Hi, Louie. How are you?
I'm doing great, Emily. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're going to dive right in. If you could please introduce yourself and what it is that you do.
All right. Louie Flores. I actually own a travel company called Time to Visit. Just a local travel company that lets people go on different vacations throughout the U.S. and abroad internationally. Been doing that now over 10 years.
Awesome. Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about your background, your story?
Sure. Born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Lost my mother at a very young age. So I was raised by a single father since the age of about 4. Two sisters, an older one and a younger one. Father was, kind of the always at work or, kind of trying to provide for the family again as a single dad. So myself and my older sister were kind of, left to ourselves to raise ourselves throughout most of our childhood and our, early years. Moved from Chicago, I don't know, when I was about 15 years old to Orlando, Florida. While I was in Chicago, did the normal kind of, kid things at that age that you could think about getting into trouble in in an inner city like that. Thrown out the house a couple times and, kind of came back. But once we got to Orlando, Florida, even though I hated it as a young man, I started to like it. Dropped out of high school when I was 16 years old or almost 16 years old. Wound up getting my GED. And really just started kind of settling into Orlando. Got a couple jobs very early. Worked a lot, hung out a little bit, still carried over some of that kind of, rough edges, so to speak, from Chicago while I was here in Orlando. Moved out when I was about 17 years old. Still continued to work. Met my wife probably a couple of years after that at around 19. Had a son at around 20. Always working, always, kind of not at home, always, staying busy. Growing up the way that I grew up, that's kind of, that was almost an escape as well. Just always working. It was just built into me that, you had to stay busy by working. So, went from working 2 jobs to working in call centers. And that's where I kind of finally found, what I was enjoying to do, working in different call centers, being around a lot of different people, socializing, speaking to a lot of different people. And I just started to really, gravitate towards that industry. Worked in it for a while, worked in the travel industry in the call centers for a while, and then, decided it was time for me to open up my own travel company. Did that, I want to say sometime around 16 or 17 years ago, and opened up my own travel, call center. And I did that for a while. My wife and I, again, had our first son at about 20. He's now 21 years old. So he's definitely a young man already. But, from that call center and on, I just constantly worked. And, I had this feeling that almost never fulfilled, always wanting something more. So although I had a successful call center doing very well business-wise, I put more on my plate. So, as that serial entrepreneur, so to speak, dabbled into multiple businesses at one time: travel, tech, data, creative, web design, consulting. All the while, I still had my, my main business, which was my travel business. And then somewhere around the road, it just kind of hit me. I had my second son. He's now 16 years old. The wife and I kind of had to take a complete step back in terms of our lifestyle. If we really wanted to kind of move forward, we needed to make a decision to step back. So we moved into a pretty small apartment, coming down from 3,000 square foot house to a very small apartment, and just reassess where we were at. And at that moment, I decided that I needed to just focus on one business, which was my travel business, and, just kind of, leave all those other businesses behind and put my main focus on that travel business. And it worked. It helped. My focus definitely allowed us to move out of that small apartment into a beautiful large house in downtown Orlando, and kind of just get things going the way we always wanted to, that we always dreamed of. Let me see here, in a couple of days here, we actually celebrate our 22nd year anniversary. So my wife and I have been together now, thank you very much, now 22 years. And, the call center business was doing great. My travel business was doing great. It was really, doing well before the COVID hit. Um, and then sometime, I don't know, I want to say around May, June, my health started to take a little bit turn for the worse. I felt healthy. I was doing more physical activities, riding bikes, swimming, outdoor activities, constantly. Even starting to watch my meals and all that other stuff. But there was something wrong. There was something going on there that I just couldn't pinpoint or identify. I went to the doctors a couple times, did a few tests. They couldn't figure it out initially at first as well. I was having trouble digesting food, changing my diet up. Maybe it's gluten, maybe it's this. Just trying to figure out everything. Then I would say I think it was the 25th, a day before my anniversary. My 21st anniversary last year, I was diagnosed with cancer. So it was like, one of those wow moments to where, as a young man with so much still going on, business-wise and everything else, it was like, wow, this just happened. So it hit me real hard. It hit my family really hard. I honestly think it hit my family harder than it did me. Being the always optimistic person, I didn't let it affect me. It was really strange, but, it was just one of those situations like, I've gone through a lot in my life and I've overcome a lot. And I felt if anybody was in a position to do so, I was. I felt those months leading up to it where I was, really changing my lifestyle, exercising and doing all that. It actually helping. It helped. So again, things happen for a reason type situation. I was meant to go through that diet change. I was meant to go through that because life was setting me up for something different, something that was going to be, impactful. So I was diagnosed with GI cancer, which is a cancer right below the stomach area, right below the esophagus, right above the stomach, rather. And things just moved very quickly. At that point, I was, admitted to the hospital. Before I knew it, I had tubes running out of me, for feeding, and already surgery lined up, and they went in there and, they took out the mass, fairly quickly. I felt great. I felt honestly amazing during the entire process. I remember my sister even came to me one day and she was like, if you need to talk, without judgment, you can let me know. And I was like, no, I feel great. And, everybody around me was just like, wow, what's going on here? But mentally, I was strong. I was ready to take on whatever was necessary. So I did that and I kept going and, I kept pushing. Went through the surgery, went through the chemotherapy. Chemotherapy was extremely rough. It was everything that, people say it is and then some. But again, I had an amazing support system starting with my wife and children. And so I was able to get through that. While I was going through.
One second.
Sure,
I got to plug this in.
sure,
One
no
second.
problem.
I'm so sorry. Don't want to lose you. Especially at this point. Continue. Yes.
Yeah,
I would
no,
love.
but then while I was going through my recovery and, the surgery was a success, everything went fantastic. My progress was doing very well. And all of a sudden I was just having really, really bad headaches, which I never had before, and starting to sleep more to kind of do with the headaches. And so my doctor recommended an MRI of the brain and they found out I had brain cancer. So to go on top of that.
Wow.
So it was one of those situations where I was like, wow, I just went through this crazy journey and now this. So, I was, again, let's put my hands in the doctors. I'll do what I have to, in terms of keeping my positive, mental outlook to it. And you guys do what you do, so together, we'll figure it out. Again, I felt great. I felt strong. I felt healthy enough, even though I just went through all this. I lost like 60 pounds. I was, barely 100 pounds, but I still mentally felt like I could get through it. So again, things started happening real quickly, admitted back into the hospital, had that removed. And again, it was a success. So, Orlando Health definitely came through for me and did some great things. Right away, I was feeling better again, no more headaches. Everything was great. And I was just ready to take on my life. And, I had a lot of time to reflect on everything I wanted to do, not just for myself, but my kids and, my family. And it was one of those aha moments that was like, we always tell ourselves, I'll do that tomorrow. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to travel. I want to go here. Busy, work, work, work. I used to be up till 2, 3 in the morning, work, 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 work. My kids, all they ever knew of me was laptop open, no matter where I was, day and night, was work, work, work. And I had that reflection moment to where, what if something would happen? What was my legacy? What was it that people would have remembered me for? The guy that just always had his laptop open working? Yes, I had success, absolutely. Ate at great restaurants, traveled a lot with the wife and, had a beautiful house and, but I wasn't truly living. I was enjoying life, but I wasn't living life. And during that time in hospitals and stuff, I really decided tomorrow was today. And just started taking care of myself more and stopped working all night long, cut off 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm done. I'm cooking dinner. And it was just like, that's it. Time to spend time with the family, time to enjoy life, stop and smell the roses, so to speak, and just started doing more for me, started reading a lot more, just enjoying that quiet time, started waking up a lot earlier, picked up Qigong, which is, a form of kind of a meditation, traditional Chinese medicine type of thing. And initially I was just looking for some type of meditation to calm my mind, because my biggest issue was it was just always going, always going, always going. And I needed to just relax. I needed, a certain point where the mind would just shut off a little bit, so I was searching for meditation. I found Qigong, and it really did something for me. It did something for me, personally, to where it just started giving me a little purpose in the morning, a routine. Started researching it a lot. We were going through COVID, so it's not like I could go get a Shifu, which is, kind of like a mentor. So I just started, reading a lot about it, and I just got, really enlightened on what it could do for you, and, how it could benefit you and help you. And then I just wanted more. Again, I was like, I've got to wake up earlier because I want to do more meditation a little longer. I want to, have time to read a book and, speak to my wife before she goes to work, and just kind of again, enjoy life, the little things, before, I used to get up out of bed, feet hit the ground and off and running. That's it, work, 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 and just never shut off. So now, I finally got to that point to where, things do shut off. I'm still very motivated to succeed. I still want, still work very hard for my business. And, it's going through travel, and COVID was very difficult, but I believe the next phase of my website and, my company, because of COVID, could be the best thing that ever happened to my company, coming around the road. I decided, and I was putting off for a long time, kind of speaking to people. Most people didn't even know what I was going through for the long time. Nobody, family, friends. I was that social butterfly, so to speak, and I just, no more Facebook for a year. Nobody seen me. Nobody heard of me. No more invites. No more traveling. No more pictures. People are just like, what happened to Louie? And I just wasn't one of those people that wanted the sympathy. It's like I wasn't ready for a bunch of obituaries on my Facebook feed, like, I'm so sorry, Jesus and praise is this and that. And I just wasn't ready for that. I didn't feel sorry for myself. And therefore, I didn't want a lot of people to start bringing that onto me, although their intentions would have been well-mannered. And, I would, appreciate the sentiments. I didn't want that. I wasn't looking for that. I was looking to stay positive, stay focused on my journey, and kind of just keep going. So nobody knew what was going on with me. But, finally I decided it was time to start, sharing my story. I wrote a nice little thing on my Facebook to kind of let people know where Louie disappeared to. And I decided, I was going to, start, being an inspiration coach, not necessarily a motivational coach or something like that, just more inspiring people to let them know that, you could go through tough times in your life, but, things do happen for a reason. If you listen to the universe and it talks to you and yourself, you could get through a lot of difficulties in your life. And although, Western medicine is great, our mind is, one of the most powerful, medicines that we could, have. And so, I wanted to just start, kind of inspiring others. And at first it was difficult because I almost felt like doing that goes against what I initially did, was eliminate all these extra businesses and all these extra, things, and putting more on my plate. And I was like, should I do this? Is it like I'm almost failing my other business too by not giving it the attention right now where it needs it? But what's funny is, by waking up early, by, doing the Qigong, by doing meditations, by mapping out my day and my week better, I actually am more productive and less busy. So now all of a sudden I do have time. I can plan this out to where I'm not going to neglect my main business and my main focus, but I can still inspire others and get into, some other things to allow people into my story and help them along their journey as well. And, what's a little different is, as an inspiration coach or motivational coach, life coach, however you want to, say it, I'm still on the same path as them. I'm still going through, remission. I'm still, going through my journey. I'm still an entrepreneur. I'm still a family man. I'm just like those individuals that I'm also trying to inspire. So hopefully that will also allow them to get through that and see that I could relate a little bit more than just kind of always telling them, this is the path they should go, So I'm very proud of my journey of where I'm at now. Still a work in progress, of course, every day. Still go through, immunotherapy, constant scans. It's like, feels like every other day is a doctor's appointment. But again, because I plan my day out the right way at the beginning of the week, throughout the week, I get things done and I'm able to accomplish things. And I feel like a different person. I am healthier. I am, spiritually better, physically better, mentally better than I've ever been in my entire life at 41 years old. And it's crazy to be not even 1 year removed from the diagnosis, from brain cancer and, the GI cancer and, everything that went through that, to say that I feel better than ever. It's an amazing feeling to do that. So, yeah.
Yes, definitely amazing, definitely inspiring. Thank you, Lou, for sharing that. Yeah, I didn't realize it was so soon after. It's a
Yes.
very wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Still fresh.
You should be very proud. I'm happy
Thank
that
you.
you're proud, and I love it when people take these adversities and use them to do good.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that it's, and just like spread what, the I guess it really is an achievement to be able to get through something so adverse and so difficult, and then to be able to show others that it's possible, that it's doable. I think it's the best feeling ever.
It really is. I get emotional still, thinking about it because it's still so fresh. And I don't talk about it a lot to a lot of people. I just not one of those things because, again, I just didn't, want the sympathies, but now I feel is the time, myself personally, I feel like I, understand it. It's time to talk a little bit about it. So it's still fresh and still get a little emotional, but overall, I'm ready to deal with it more and let people in, so to speak.
Well, I'm very honored that you've shared it here with me and with the viewers. I did want to ask you, I think it's incredible how you managed to maintain a positive mindset throughout. I wanted to ask you where you think, if you could elaborate a little bit more on where you think that came from. Like, where did you get this positivity? Was it, you mentioned something about, through the childhood adversities, but what was it that you think helped you with a positive mindset?
It's funny. My younger sister was just over here for dinner, and we were trying to wonder that ourselves because she also is a very positive, kind of optimistic person, and she's a trainer, and so she stands in front of people, and she trains them for a large travel company. And we were trying to figure that out. I love my father to death. He was an entrepreneur when I was younger. He's gone through a lot of trials and tribulations himself. And although I've gained some of that from him, I don't believe it was necessarily, directly from him. I've had some, great people I've surrounded myself with in my life. Not necessarily mentors, but just, positive people. One of my first, real jobs was a direct sales job. And, they were this, rah, rah, you got to keep your energy up and stay positive. And they would do these morning meetings that would just kind of, say, you've got to keep your energy up. You got to keep your attitude up. And, I started going to different, motivational seminars and, started, kind of just gravitating towards that. And it's possible that that was the seed that, initially kind of just started, getting something growing inside of me. And then I just always felt like I was just a natural at speaking. I absorb a lot. I'm that constant, like with Qigong, it wasn't one thing to just learn the exercises by looking at a few YouTube videos. I wanted to know, how does it affect me? Why are they telling me to do this specific routine? So I'm that one that always just wants to soak up more. And I just naturally, it just comes out. So, sometimes, I was out for drinks with a friend the other day and he was like, you're like a philosopher. You should just sit there, get a couple drinks and just, start talking. But I think that's just by constantly surrounding myself with positive people. I'm that person that you start talking negative or get into a funk, I will try to help you out of that. I will speak positively because it's in my nature. But if I don't see that you also see that you need to stop thinking or talking negative, I eliminate myself from that. I don't hang around that. I'm not around that. We've all been through struggles, evictions and no lights and, everything else that goes on. But if you think that poor me, woe is me situation, you're never going to get out of it. And so I've always been just that positive, and I just remove as much negativity out of my life as I possibly can, whether it's family or friends. And, I've been known to walk away from a family member that's in the middle of a rant, so to speak, because I just don't want to, taint, my mind with the negativity and stuff. And family members started learning right away. They will talk on the phone and they'll start going in a rant and they'll catch themselves and cut themselves off and say, bye, I'm sorry, I'll talk to you later. They won't come to my house because they'll be like, I'm not in a good energy right now. I don't have a good mood. I'm really upset and aggravated. I'm like, come over, don't worry. You're like, no, I won't bring that to you. So they started to realize, don't bring negativity. So I think that's kind of, it was just a seed started and it just kind of blossomed into this, stay positive and positive things will happen to you attitude.
I think it's just evidence of how strong boundaries can be, and how they can serve you well. Like, you respect your own boundaries, people will respect it, and it
100%.
really is as simple as saying, sorry, this this isn't
And
gonna,
it's
this
human
energy
nature.
isn't gonna come in.
It's human nature to want to, work with that individual and try to get them out of their funk, so to speak. But you can only do that for so long. And it's true what they say is they have to want to change before you could ever change somebody. And, sometimes it's difficult to walk away or to eliminate yourself from a relationship that you had from a long time. And some people will say you walked away from that person in bad times. Sometimes you have to do that because if they also want to be your friend or they want to be in your life, it's not just about you making a change. Maybe they also need to make a change in their life if they really want to be a part of your life. And they also have to understand that what we're asking for by being positive and by having a good attitude around me, that's not a negative thing. That's not, I didn't say cut off your arm in order for you to come hang out. This is literally enjoy your life, be happy, and hey, come on, hang out as much as you want with us. But if you can't do that, I just can't do it. And again, we all go through our moments. We need somebody to talk to. I catch myself sometimes where, things happen and a little negativity creeps in, so to speak. And, I have to kind of talk myself out of it. It happens. We're human. But it's how long you let it fester is the difference. It's how long you continue to let it just kind of be there, floating around you. That's you. That's your decision. You're making that decision to keep it there. So you're the one also deciding to eliminate me from your life, essentially, as well.
Well, I'm glad that you went down this path, because I was going to ask you as well, with regards to negativity, sometimes I find it important to learn how to sit with discomfort, because sometimes we need to give space and attention to our difficult emotions, our negative emotions, like feeling pain, feeling sadness isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it's something that we're kind of socially conditioned as well to, especially with our children, for example, like, oh, if a child's angry or crying, it's like, oh, how do we make it stop, whereas I really do believe that learning to meet our own needs as adults is also learning to sit with our anger and figure it out and explore it, and sit with our pain and give it that space and that compassion, and like work through it. How is that something that you do manage to do, because you are so positive? Like, do you give space to that negativity?
I acknowledge the negativity sometimes. Sometimes
Okay.
you have to acknowledge that there's difficult moments, and you have to understand that sometimes through pain, you have your best moments after that pain. It's like they say, when you're in the darkest moments, that's when you kind of finally see some glimmer of light, and it's great. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with understanding that bad things do happen. But you have to understand you still have control over some of those bad things. You could acknowledge it, because just ignoring it and making it seem like it doesn't exist, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, yes, you could acknowledge that you don't have the money to pay your rent. That's fine. You could acknowledge that, if you don't figure it out, things could become very difficult. But if you continue to just be like, woe is me, this is, why me? Why did I just get this flat tire? What is going on in this life? And no, it now bad things just kind of spiral. It's just like that downward thing to where you can't even get out of your own way. You just constantly do it. So, I do journal writing as well. And, when I have a bad moment, and, how I could have done better things yesterday, if I could have went back, what would I have done? Whether it be negative, positive, I log all that, and I put my emotions down, but it's how you react to that bad moment, and understanding you're not the only person in the world right now that got a flat tire. There's other people out there that got a flat tire. I promise you, it's not just why me. You know what I mean? And I'm that one person that says maybe you got a flat tire because you were meant to slow down. Maybe you weren't meant to be in a specific area or on a specific road at a specific time. Same thing with my cancer. Some people they could take subtle hints, so to speak, to slow down in their life. And then some of us really need a smack in the face to say, slow down, relax, enjoy life. So, it's just how we look at that negative, situation that's going to take us to the next place. Are we going to stay there and just, make camp and just, this is where we're going to be at forever? Or are we going to find, somewhere that maybe has a better view of the sun, so to speak? That's up to us of how we want to react to it.
100%. I love that you were saying that, because I really do believe that when we're faced with or confronted with a challenge, a big life challenge, it's often there to serve a purpose, to teach us something. I really do feel that we learn a lot from, I see challenges as opportunities, an opportunity to learn something.
Absolutely.
And I do feel as well that many people struggle with recurring challenges, like the same thing over and over again. Why does this keep happening to me? Why does this keep happening to me? And I'm like, well, maybe it's just an opportunity that keeps trying to, show itself up. Are you open to listening? Are you open to embracing like what lesson could be hidden in this, situation and in this challenge? It's very
Yeah,
hard to shift the perspective and kind of see things for, see the positive and the opportunity in negative, things. But I think it really, really is powerful and empowering when we learn how to do that.
absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
it's amazing that's your perspective on what you've been through, and I really feel that it's going to serve you very well, and it already is.
Yeah, I truly
So,
believe that attitude is what got me through my situation as
amazing.
quickly and as good as I was able to go through it, because I just positive, positive, positive. And it wasn't like one of those things where you just kind of lied to yourself. I hate the quote, the saying, fake it till you make it. I think that's one of the worst things you could ever do is fake it till you make it. So it wasn't fake, it was real. And, that's one thing you have to make sure you do too, is make sure the positive thoughts are real and they're just not imaginary. You're not just telling yourself this, you have to believe it as well.
Amazing. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to share, any insight, like something to like leave us with? Is there anything that you'd like to
You
say?
know, at the end of the day, just kind of what we've been going over, I think what you're doing is amazing, because it does give people an outlet to not just speak about, what's going on in their journey, but allowing others to, maybe kind of link their journey in with somebody else's and understand they are not alone. It's not a why me moment. Why did this happen to me? It happens to others as well. And seeing how others react to that can help us, to understand that, we can get through, bad times. We can get over the hill, so to speak. There may be another hill on the other side, but it doesn't mean we can't keep trying to make ourselves better, make our lives better. And, just in general, just stop being busy and, be more productive. And once you do that, you can enjoy life a little bit more. Work-life balance is very important. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I found, it out at a later age, or at my age now, but I'm happy to have gone through what I've gone through, because where I'm at right now. So, sometimes it's dark and sometimes it's tough, but if you stay positive, if you, keep the, positive outlook, good things can happen to all of those that want them to. So we do attract, what we put out there. So, live a positive life, live a helpful life, and you'll be surprised at, what blessings, so to speak, you can have. So yeah, just live life, happy, live life in general, enjoy life, don't just go through there trying to get those materialistic objects. It's great. Goals are amazing. But don't forget to live while we're, chasing our dreams. We got to live as well, live in reality right now instead of just chasing the dreams and living in our dreams.
Love it. We're human beings, and so few of us actually just be.
Yeah, very
We're
true.
not very good at just
Very
existing. We
true.
have to be
Yeah.
doing things. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, thank you, Louie. I love that, and I love what you're doing, and your story is very powerful and inspiring. And I hope that it will inspire some others out there too. So thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you again, and I look forward to continuing to see some of your other videos and see some of the other journeys from other individuals, and see where that's at. And maybe after I've gone through some more of my situation in life, maybe I could come back and share a little bit more with you on my journey.
Yes, please. Awesome.
All right. But
Thank
thank
you,
you again for
Louie.
having me. Have a great rest of your
Thank
day.